For those of you who have been attending Father Tim's class on John, you know that John is really weird. That he is not like the other Gospels, that things are different in there. And this is one of those occasions when things in the Gospel are considerably different than the other three Gospels. For one thing, as far as the Gospel of John is concerned, this is last night. This event takes place on Wednesday night, not on Thursday night, because this is not the Passover meal. This is something entirely different. This is just a bunch of guys and their friends getting together to have dinner with each other. Now, the Old Testament lesson points out that it's on the 14th day of the month that they're to slaughter the lambs. And then, on Passover, eat the lambs. So according to the Old Testament, John is right on the money, because it is now on Wednesday night that he is betrayed, that he is taken into captivity, that he is then on Thursday morning taken out to Golgotha, and then at noon, from noon to 3, he is crucified and dies. That doesn't happen that way in the other Gospels. Now, John has a little bit of difference in almost everything. Origen, back in the which century? Actually second and third. But, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. You never do that to people. I apologize. Origen was one of the early doctors of the church, one of the early theologians. And he pointed out that John really does things differently, and you have to be careful when you read John, because it's not like everybody else. Now, just cut the mic. You got it. If I can find it. Okay. Now, last Sunday, Father Tim talked about the Ignatian practice of spirituality. The practice of taking a story out of the Scriptures and putting yourself in that story as one of the people of that story. Now, for those of you who have been involved in our Harry Potter book club, the Order of the Phoenix, you're accustomed to this exercise because we do it frequently in that source, thus giving you a chance to practice different spiritual exercises. This one is one that I want all of you to practice tonight. If you are here for the watch, that would be a good time to practice it. If you are not, then go home and practice it there. But you need to know the story before you can actually put yourself in it. And unfortunately, what John gives us in the Gospel is a surface telling of the story. But there are a few things that you need to know, like Origen did. Here's the way dinner goes. Guests show up at the door, The preparation for the dinner is all taken care of. Guests show up at the door, and there at the door there is someone to meet them who will wash their feet as they enter the room. They will then sit down, say the prayers, light the candles, and then they will begin to eat. Then at the end of the eating, they say the prayers, and they're free to go. Jesus does something remarkably strange in this evening's gospel. Although they have had their feet washed when they came into the room, now Jesus gets up in the middle of supper and starts washing their feet. Now, for those of us who think about that for a minute, that doesn't make any sense. They've already had their feet washed. And you don't get up in the middle of dinner and tell everybody to get off of their couches and come over here so we can wash your feet. That's just not the way things are done. And yet that's the way Jesus does it. There's a lesson in humility in there, right? Well, in John's Gospel, the disciples do not lack humility. It's only in Matthew, Mark, and Luke that they get covetous, that they get to thinking, I'm better than you are. My brother and I ought to have places at the right and left hand of Jesus in his kingdom. Right? That doesn't happen in John's Gospel. There is no need for Jesus to teach the apostles humility in John's Gospel. So what in the world is Jesus doing? I think Peter points it out. But there again, the translators sometimes, if they don't understand things, just leave them out. Peter says to Jesus, Lord, you will never wash my feet into the age. What? Into the age is in there in Greek, but it's not there in the gospel tonight. It got left out. What might that mean? If Jesus is washing the disciples' feet into the age, there's clearly something that is being anticipated. Something that is going to be incredibly wonderful. I wonder what that might be. I wonder what washing has to do with it. I wonder why humility is important in that. Perhaps because what Jesus has asked them to do and has asked you to do is something that could be very humbling if you're at all proud. He's asking you to wash people's feet into the age. Now, how are you going to do that if you think that washing feet is a servant's job? So humility is not the lesson. Humility is a necessity in order to do the lesson. So, for your consideration tonight, why is Jesus doing this? say into the age. And what does that mean? Now, in good Ignatian practice, place yourself this night in the place of a person there in the story. Do not place yourself there as an observer, because we have observers enough. Do not place yourself there as a fly on the wall. Although that's very tempting, because then you don't have to feel the emotion that comes with those answers. And that's what Ignatius wants you to do. He wants you to know with your heart, with your mind, and with your body what that means. So,